Hey there you guys, it's me Crystal, and today I thought it would be really fun to do this story ideas writing tag that I recently found. So the originators of this tag by the book and Bethany Atazada originally did their tags a little over a year ago, but I just now found the tags and I thought it sounded really fun, so I will link their videos below, and I will also put the questions below in case you also would like to do the tag. So this tag is all about story ideas and like how you find story ideas and things of that nature. So the first question is current story, and is what is the current story idea that you're working on right now? So I'm pretty sure I mentioned this in a couple of other videos recently that I was working on a paranormal sci-fi. Now I have not changed projects, but I'm pretty sure that it's just a sci-fi or a sci-fi maybe with some fantasy elements, but basically it is a alternate timeline, Earth-based kind of futuristic sci-fi fantasy story. Yeah. Question number 2, a spark of inspiration. Do your ideas begin with the characters, plot, world building, or something else entirely? So I am a very character first kind of writer, so even if I am doing like a retelling or I have kind of like a story idea, like the framework for a story idea first, if I finish the idea, then I had a character show up very early and attach themselves to the story, but I usually start with the character first and then the world kind of builds around them. Yeah. Question number 3 is brainstorm. How do you puzzle piece your story ideas together? Do you start with the ending and then work your way to the end, or vice versa? So I am a very linear writer. I start at the beginning, write the middle, then write the end. There are of course exceptions to, you know, every standard regular thing. You know, like I have been writing a story and have skipped the scene and then have gone back and written that scene later, but the last time I did that was in 2009. So literally, no, it was 2008. So I don't do that very often. I just about always start at the beginning and just work my way on through the end because it keeps things more organized in my brain just for me, how I work. Yeah. Question number 4 is keep or toss. How do you know when you want to keep or dump a story idea? So I don't like dump anything. It's just like I have ideas that I'm probably never going to work on, and I have ideas that I'm going to write later, and I have ideas that I'm going to write right now. And so I'm pretty sure I've documented how hard it is for me to settle on an idea. But basically, I know that I'm going to continue working on an idea when it kind of like calms my brain. So what happens between projects is I kind of get attacked by plot bunnies, but it's kind of like when I found a story that like I really, really, really want to work on right now, then that idea like just kind of shuts everything else out. So even if I get a new idea and it's like super shiny and I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds great, I'll write it down and continue on with what I'm doing. And so it's pretty easy for me to focus once I get started. And anything that is just causing me a lot of stress, if I feel crazy while I'm writing it, if I can't sleep, then I put it back on the shelf. I don't say I'm dumping it. I say, it's going back in the crock pot, it's going back in the plot bunny field, it's going back on the shelf. It needs to bake some more, it needs to sit some more, or I'm just not in the mood right now. And so it's just going to sit somewhere and simmer until, I'm ready to work on it. Question number 5 is original idea. How much of your original idea for your story is actually used once everything is finished? So this is an interesting question for me because it's like when I first get an idea, things can warp and like change quite a bit on me by the time everything's like settled and I'm like ready to work on the idea. So just like my current idea, like when I first got the idea, I had no idea what was going on. I thought, okay, so we have, this character over here, we have our main character, and then we have this character over here, and this character over here is like trying to kill this character. And I started working on the story, and I got, I want to say maybe a fourth of the way through, and I was just kind of like, I have no idea why this person is trying to kill this person. And the way I was writing the story, it was not building to that. And the character, I talked to my characters, was very specific about this character being after them. And so I was like, okay, I'm missing something. So I set the story aside, and then like 2 years later, I come back to it, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it was like very similar. Like the basic plot structure hasn't changed, like as far as like the character starts here and then they end up over here, like that hasn't changed, but like a lot of things have changed. Like when I was working on it before, it was just like a paranormal story, and now, like I said, it's sci-fi, so it's changed quite a bit. But usually from the original idea, like the characters are the same and like the plot, but like the setting is usually what changes on me when something changes. Although with my book Winter Siren, the plot changed quite a bit actually, because that book is a Swan Lake retelling. And when I originally got the idea, I was sticking closer to like the Swan Lake storyline, but I don't know what it was. Like I saw Swan Lake, and then I got the story idea, and then I saw the movie Black Swan, and then I saw Swan Lake again, and then I saw the Nutcracker, and I don't know what it was about the Nutcracker. Maybe I was just like super relaxed because I had seen it a bunch of times and I love it. But it's like as soon as the Nutcracker was over, like my brain like just exploded like in the best way. And I all of a sudden had a completely new story. And so it's kind of like I took Swan Lake and like disassembled it and then like rebuilt it with like, you know, like a disassembled like Phantom of the Opera, which the Phantom of the Opera elements were not intentional, but I love Phantom of the Opera. It is my favorite thing. So basically, the answer to this question is it varies story to story, but they usually warp on me at least a little bit. And sometimes they warp a lot. So question number 6 is hide or share. Do you share your book ideas with friends or keep them a secret? So it depends on, usually like I don't say exactly what my idea is like on my blog, but if I talk to somebody in person, then I will tell them exactly what I'm working on. Or, you know, because it's really helpful for me to like be able to talk about the idea out loud. Now I'm not gonna like just talk to a stranger because they probably don't care. Like nobody really cares but me, but it's helpful for me to be able to talk to somebody and like get it out of my head, and like I can kind of sort through things and I can like kind of see it like on this timeline or whatever. But as far as like on my channel, for example, or on my blog, I'm kind of like very mums like with what I'm working on, because it's kind of like I've had instances where like I've said what I'm working on and then people have been like, oh my gosh, that sounds really really good, it sounds really exciting, and then I run into some problems and then I felt obligated to work on it. I've also had situations where like I've said what I'm working on and nobody cares. And then I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't a good idea. And so that way it's just like to keep me from like reading too much into any kind of like situation. I'm just like, just mum's the word until the first draft is done. And that way I'm like, it doesn't matter because the story is done and I love it and I'm happy, hopefully. So, question number 7 is a dream. Have any of your book ideas originated with a dream or nightmare? The short answer is no. Slightly longer answer is I have tried to write stories in the past, and I currently have an idea or two that is based off of a very weird dream that I had, but to date I have not gotten any of those ideas to work out. But you know, I am willing to try again, of course. Question number 8 is a doppelganger. Have you ever had an idea for a story but then seen a similar premise in a book, TV show, or movie? Yes. Even recently, like my current story idea, you guys, I went to the movies last month and I was watching this movie and I was like, oh my gosh, this is reminding me of my story. Like, not in a bad way, but I did have a moment that lasted about a minute where I was like, oh my gosh, should I change my idea? Now, first of all, I can't just change my ideas. The whole story will fall apart and then, you know, I'll quit. But also, it's kind of like, this movie that I was watching, it was kind of like there were like these people who were like coming to a certain area to like try to do a certain thing. And in my book, there were like these people who like came to a certain area and they did do a certain thing. And so it's like, it's totally different. But yeah, I don't usually worry about it. But one of the funniest things, like to me, like that has happened is I have this paranormal, of course, book called Discord. And it's currently just sitting in the story graveyard folder on my computer. But it's one of my favorite stories though that I've written that I hate. But I know it sounds like a weird thing to do. There's this weird relationship I have with this story. But originally, the story is about Siren. And so originally I called it Lullaby. So when I didn't really like that title, but I couldn't think of anything else. And originally it was called Fury, and then I changed it to Lullaby. And so when I was kind of Googling that, you know, book title to see how many books were called Lullaby, not only did I find a book called Lullaby, like, immediately, but it was a book about sirens. Now, this was a book, too, in, like, a quadrilogy, I think, and mine was, like, book 1 in a duology, kind of. It was more like book 1 and then, like, a companion sequel, but anyway. I immediately changed the title. And to this day, I stand by this title. I had people who have read the story, or at least part of the story, and they've said that the title clashes with the beautiful writing. And I'm like, thank you for saying my writing is beautiful, but also, like, no, Discord, there's disharmony in the harmony. I just thought it was brilliant. But anyway, that's another story. But yeah, to answer this question, this has absolutely happened to me. It's happened to me at least a couple times in the last, like, 5 years. So, you know, probably has happened some more and I didn't realize it, and it will most definitely happen again. And I also totally don't worry about it. Question number 9 is big screen inspiration. Have any of your favorite movies, TV shows sparked ideas for scenes in your book? Again, the short answer is yes. The longer answer is yes, but it's kind of like I get really excited about like just one like little concept, and then my brain starts like building the story idea around it, and I have still currently not gotten that to work for me. Usually it's like being excited about one element is not enough to carry me through an entire story. But I do like draw inspiration from like TV shows. Like I can't watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer without getting story ideas. So I haven't watched it in a while because I'm kind of like having plenty of ideas. We need to finish some of these ideas. And 10th question, the last question, is nostalgia. What is the oldest or first story idea you remember coming up with and writing down? So the very first thing I remember writing down was I had this picture book called The Thanksgiving Pig. I don't remember when I wrote it, but I remember I illustrated it myself and I colored it and I gave it to my mom and she kept it for way too long. And it was about a pig who was served for Thanksgiving dinner instead of the turkey, and the turkey got to go off free because I was like, yay, save the turkey. But then it's like, oh, the pig. But anyway. So that's the first thing I can remember. So that is all for this tag. Thanks to Buy the Book and Bethany Atizada for creating this tag. And yeah, that is all for this video. Let me know if you're doing the tag. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video. And I hope you're having a great summer. And bye.